Good afternoon. Excited to be here, obviously, after going up on the road to Grand Forks, which was a really competitive championship level game. And to come back with the conference title is something that we're extremely excited about. We're also excited about the opportunity to continue to move the team forward and improve. I think that's kind of at the forefront right now. We've never been, I tried to think back, and maybe I was just too young if I missed one, but we've never been in the situation where you got a non-conference game at the end and you got a conference opponent coming up this week, but to have the conference championships kind of sewed up. So for us, it's going to be imperative that we embrace all 12. We finish this thing out. We talk about that a lot, standard 5, finish everything that we do. And so that's kind of the one thing that's got me a little bit on edge is just making sure we keep our sharpness and our daily routines, and we stay on the idea of compete and prove tough for the next 2 weeks. I'm really excited for everybody that contributes to our program, not only in just the success, but contributes to the experiences that our players get to have. And so I want to say thank you to the Bison Nation, and say thank you to all of our support, and congratulations to Bison Nation. It's a big deal. As you look back on the game real quickly, offensively there's only 2 positives. We created 5 explosive plays, which is big. And then our first and second down efficiency was on point with championship level football, 55%. But hard to believe you can, go in and win a game going 2 for 12 on third down, because that's not championship level. And then the most important part of that is that leads to a bunch of stuff and some questions that I'll get here. 51 plays run because you don't advance and continue in series. And so to go 2 for 12 on third down just doesn't cultivate enough opportunity for the players, number one, to have a great, unbelievable, fun day. And then obviously for the coaches, it's even tough to kind of find adjustments and to move on and to get some things ran, and to make changes. The gold zone production, especially on the short fields, for us not to capitalize. And that's where I hope doesn't get lost in this. Okay, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. I'm excited to answer the questions because we have to improve. But if we just punch 2 in on a short field, this thing, it could have been flipped the other way as well. And my hat goes off to how UND played football. Defensive staff had a great plan for us, kept us off balance, obviously with 1 for 4 in the gold zone and 2 for 12 on third down. So kudos to them on that. Special teams, we'll save the best for last this week. But special teams, we were plus 43 in the hidden yardage. And thankfully, we got that call on the reverse towards the end there. But we had 4 explosive punts over 45 yards. And I've been kind of waiting for that with Aaron. And it wasn't necessarily how far he kicked the ball, but our directional punting was unbelievable. We had 1 misdirection punt that was called on purpose that was really executed at a high level. Congrats to Aaron for being National Player of the Week with the stats outfit there. Eli going 3 for 3, really good. Those are big kicks now. That we should be able to fall back on that in the future. He stepped up and knocked them right through, and that was critical. Code Green, right? Play hard, play fast, play together. They did that and more. They would have played. They could have played 120 plays. That group was so together and so connected and so committed to playing to the standard. And Grant Olson and the defensive staff even with some adjustments. UND did a good job of moving the ball in between the 20s and things like that. But I thought their halftime meeting was on point. Grant's leadership was second to none on Saturday. When you look at the stat, we got to get on the same page with it. When we talk about getting 6, right? The 3 and outs. 4th down stops and takeaways, we had 9. Okay, we had 9. And some of those were team efforts. One of them more certainly was a great individual effort. But we didn't allow a 20-yard play, guys. And so our defense played at a championship level and carried us through that. But you look at the 4 huge plays, the 4th down stop on 4th and short, great team effort, right? Knockback, Logan Kopp making the play, trusting his instincts. On Keenan's interception, Toby and Nene with the pressure and a deflection. Okay, Darius Givens gets an interception. Well, there's the other safety on the quarterback hit, rushing him. And so those are great team efforts. And then Anthony, that interception is just really impressive. I've seen really good defensive plays before. And the one that's only flashing in my head is the one-handed catch against Ohio State. The Jim Thorpe Award made that play, Jackson. And so that was as big a moment as I can remember. And so we're excited to move forward. I'm excited to answer the questions. Obviously, Northern Iowa, it goes way back for me, and I still have a hard time getting those pictures out of my head that this is going to be a fast, physical football team that likes to play ball. A very resilient group that'll continue to search and look for answers to keep you out of the end zone and away from scoring. They're in the first year as a staff, so it takes some time. They've had some turnover, but defensively, I've been impressed with them. They're only giving up 24 points per game. Offensively, they're 42% conversion on third down, so that's got our attention. But I think this week will be more about us and how we prepare ourselves to get ready to go. And you guys, with that, I truly am excited about. I'm excited about the next, however long we have together, and that with this football team, and that's what we had talked a lot about. Let's value this trip out this weekend. Let's value the time that we get to play together, and let's compete and improve. Shoot.
Coach, you mentioned with Aaron, but what's it mean to be able to have a special teams unit that you can fall back on if, hey, we didn't get the first down, he can flip the field for you guys?
Well, I think it's big, right? Like, we don't think too much in sports nowadays is just evaluated from a week-to-week perspective, and then you're either crappy or you're great and you're the best and no one could ever beat you. You got to go play, and then somewhere within that 60 minutes, you kind of got to look down at the defense. You got to look at hey, it's going to take all of us. And so for Aaron to come through like that in those moments, and Cody Morgan, with the punt team in general, is huge, right? That's doing their part in what's a total commitment to winning the game by 1 point. I know we laugh about that sometimes because we have been able to come in here with big victories. But guys, that's what we're valuing, and that's what a week ago a week ago today, right? We were talking about it kind of being flipped, and the quarterback, we couldn't get him off the field. Thank God we scored some points, some big plays, and so it's just all in the team concept. And I'm really pleased with both where Aaron is at, our snapper, our kicker. If you guys really look at it, we have not had a big mistake yet, and that's really huge to pull off tight wins.
Aaron's from Howard, and you got Anthony from Cornell, two programs not as high as this. So taking transfers, all right, is it more, what's the difference? I mean, some people say get FBS guys to come down, but seems like you've had more success with guys coming up.
We haven't been forced, right? Like, we haven't been infected by the virus, really, ever, where we're wholesale change. All the people that I talk about actually share that philosophy. Go to level down where people appreciate it. They have a genuine appreciation for the administration, the people, the coaches, the care. The facilities are good. Okay, I'm not saying one way or another because you got to look at everybody case to case, this, that, and the other thing. But I know those two guys, they think the world of Fargo and the people here. They think the world of this opportunity. They're very grateful for the opportunity they have. So that's a big advantage to going and finding some guys from either the lower levels or same level but not quite the same situation. Maybe in 3 or 4 years I'll have a better answer for you, but we're open to anybody and everybody that we feel like can help our program. The two things with both of those guys is just how badly they wanted to be here. That's what stands out in their recruiting. I mean, I remember Torrey, right, down at Iowa, who's with the Bears now. I mean, he was stuck overseas when the COVID thing was happening. We didn't know if we were going to get our punter over here, right? Yet there had to be clearance and all this stuff. Well, I call Aaron. I'm like, hey, you're going to get over here in a couple days? Nah, mate, it's going to take me 8 to 10 days. We're starting ball. And he was overseas, so he was going to do everything in his power to be here, and just so grateful for those two guys. And we've got a few more that are really contributing. It's an interesting time when you're getting into – it's not like looking at high school recruiting and saying, okay, we can compare this plan from 10 years ago, that plan from 20. We're still learning about how to operate in this new era.
Evaluated Cole's performance. He wasn't himself, or didn't perform as well as he has all season.
Yeah.
And what did you see on the film? What have you talked about with him?
Yeah, well, it's the first time that he was sped up. Just where 1, 2, it wasn't there, and then we didn't make Here, we talk about this a lot. Here's what happened in the game, and I'm going to try to sum it up as tight as I can. We talk about each individual football player having an anticipation, okay, and then a reaction and a response. I just didn't think our reactions and responses in the pass game, specifically the quarterback, were up to his standard or our standard at all. And it's just that simple. And I'll tell you another thing, that position is that hard to play. And there's never been one time in this program's history where the program didn't have to pick the quarterback up. And I think it says a lot about his leadership. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat this, but that team, our team, the defense, the special teams, the offense, we had his back and we kept playing. And it just wasn't, starting with the interception early in the game. I mean, he thought we had a zero pressure look. We got a kind of a drop 8 look. Reaction and response is off a little bit. And thankfully, that didn't hurt us as badly as it could. I thought Cole still did a good job managing the run game, and Cole will find himself more plays this week. And then as a coaching staff, starting with me down to Coach Larson, we've got to do a better job to be able to cultivate confidence, to be able to cultivate an assurance that we're going to give you some things to help you get started, right? And we tried that. I mean, even right after that pick, we came back with the naked, and number 22 makes a great play on Williams and deflects it. So just not his best outing, but we're behind him 100%. The good news is he gets judged like that the way that everybody judged him this weekend. He gets judged like that on a daily basis, starting with the 18 plays he'll get against the defense today.
You said preseason break, it's his chance to take over as a bell cow. 10 games in, what do you think?
Well, I thought there was the second and one run, the first second and one run. Their DN forced it out to their safety. I thought that was his only poor run of the day. I think he's being really decisive. Myself and Dan would tell you, we only had 51 plays, and there was only 15 passes, so we stuck in there with the run game. But I think we gotta allow those guys to get in a little bit better rhythm. Overall, pretty pleased with especially the middle portion of the game there. We got the run game established. We probably maybe should have just stuck to it a little bit. Barika's playing well. I think Barika would tell you that there's 1 or 2 opportunities a game that need to be a little bit better. But pretty excited about him. And DJ this week was limited with a plantar fasciitis. And quite frankly, the best he felt was on Saturday, and we just didn't cultivate enough opportunities to get to him with 51 plays on offense.
Barika as a whole, can you describe his season to date?
Yeah, interesting. Great red zone running, 15 touchdowns. Unbelievable in the inside zone game, getting better and better on the outside zone, and we're still looking for 1 or 2 more explosive plays from that position overall, and that's got to get cultivated from the O-line and tight ends first and foremost.
Sam, how do you keep things on the gas pedal here? You've already wrapped up your first goal, and yet you still have 2 games left in the regular season.
Keys to 1-0 this week. Stay on the gas, improvements needed. And they're just going to have to embrace that, and then we're going to have to embrace an enthusiasm, which we had last night with a young guy practice, and the old guys led that. Just value every day together, because before you know it, it's gone, and we got some big things that we could get accomplished this year. It's just that. I think being enthusiastic. I think the coaches marching around here with the understanding that we need to get better, we can get better. It all starts by finishing the regular season out and understanding the importance of it. It's just we've never been in this position before, where it's just kind of, I'm not saying the seedings, I don't know anything about that, but we did win the Missouri Valley, and that means a lot. And so we just, as a program, right, not talking about championships, going 1-0, compete and prove tough has got to stay at the forefront.
Do you foresee younger guys getting an opportunity to play over the next couple of weeks?
Well, I'm not sure on that. We talked a lot about, putting together a plan here that gives you a chance to win. We like to start fast, which we did that on defense last week. And so when we do that, there's always opportunity cultivated for other players, but that most certainly ain't the goal here today. The goal is to find a way to win and beat Northern Iowa, who's coming off a victory. We're not going to go down that road. But we've got a lot of guys practicing that are in position to garner repetitions. And then on special teams, there are, regardless of if this was a championship game or not, we've got 2 left and kids have 2 left to play. It's their time now, and we like some of those guys. Yes, Gavin would be one. For an example, we're going to get him going on kickoff return for sure.
Alex Elliott, is he getting closer?
No, Alex Elliott, that's a whole different deal. Medical red shirt. Wants to be here, loves Fargo, and it wasn't worth it if he could have went last week. Even if we get to where everybody wants to go to, it wouldn't have been worth the 5 games. So Alex Elliott, scratch him, and we love that kid, and he's doing a hell of a job, but we're not going to play him because his future's bright.
You ever been part of a game where you had more penalties than first downs and won the
No,
game?
and the penalties were, I made a small note for you guys. The penalties were goofy. listen, don't make any mistake about it. I asked the guys to play in the gray area. Okay, we got a running back trying to do one thing. We got clarification on it. It was a late hit, so we're in the wrong. But by God, I was not unhappy with Logan Kopp making sure that ball was to the ground. You know, so you get that late hit, an aggressive Logan Kopp's, matched up out there on a receiver and kind of a 50-50 PI situation. I didn't turn that in. It was a good call, but he made a heck of a play. And then we had some grabbing and holdings down there. Thank God we did it. Down in the gold zone. So there are some real aggressive penalties that I can quite frankly live with. Griff was wrong on which way we slid the protection. That costed him his holding call. Bo Johnson's got to keep his cool a little bit. And there were some things going on in there on field goal. There always is. And Bo can't react and can't respond to something. But you look at Bryce Lance's jump off sides. Anthony's lined up off sides on defense. We took the delay on purpose. But then our center goes out there and nods his head too aggressively. And so there's a couple discipline things that we most certainly got to get cleaned up. The penalties, commenting on that, it just seemed a little wacky at times. I told Matt, Mr. Larson, I just said, there's holding on every call. It's just a matter if they get it or not, or if they want to get it. And so after further review, the officials did a pretty good job in the game. As far as the first downs, 2 for 12 on third down, and then just not being good enough. I don't want to say explosive, but we had some really good second down opportunities. And so that just doesn't get the ball rolling. That's what I'm talking about adjustments wise. We got to be quicker, swifter to get to adjustments to help the quarterback. But when we're not cultivating opportunities to call plays, that's also very difficult. That in short, that's a summary of how it went offensively.
Speaking of Bo, how's the ankle doing?
Yeah, Bo's a warrior. I mean, I think you learn a little bit about everybody, right? Again, he knew what happened. Anytime these old linemen kind of get rolled up on the side, they go into automatic fear mode, and then there's pain. But the pain, I'm sure, in a football game, it's all over the place. But by the time we were done with the session on the field, I mean, Bo kind of winked, and, I could see him. Less and less pressure on the people carrying him off. He responded really good. He'll be ready to go for sure. And then on that injury, on the injury front, Duffy is still. I would put him as probable. Crumby looks to be able to play probable, and I think Will Style hit 93% last night, high speed mileage, and so I think he's going to be able to play at least on special teams or a couple of those.
So pretty healthy.
We're pretty healthy, and I mean, we all know what's on everybody's minds here. We got to take care of business, and we got to go 1-0, and then get our work in and live in that treatment room, get sleep, nutrition, hydration, because the playoffs are right around the corner.
Coach, while you're waiting for Duffy and Crumby to get healthy, what can you say about the defensive backs that have really stepped up in these roles?
Yeah, I thought Talon played better, right? He shows up in the run game. That's an aggressive guy, throws his body around. Obviously Darius Gibbons and Ryan Jones played a ton of plays, and I thought Darius and played really well. We gave him player of the game back there in the safety room. Those guys have stepped up. We've cultivated depth. There's some things that we haven't revisited, like where's the depth going to come from at this position or that position. But we've been comfortable all year. And Jalen Archibald gets better and better in practice. He just didn't get any opportunities. Antoine played some corner for us. I think he played 2 series, and that was good. And Jaquez fought, and Anthony was really good.
How weird is to see you and I where they're at right now, considering the history. 10 years ago, these are the 2 best teams in the FCS.
Yeah, like I said, I know Coach Steps, has done a really good job when he was at Drake and stuff, and I got to know him a little bit at some of these meetings and things. I respect him a lot. I just think we should all pump the brakes on judging programs and people until they can get a year or 2 into it. I know they've been taking quite a hit, in the transfer portal. They've have to get their feet on the ground with high school recruiting and those kind of things. But for me, it is, because I still remember that being the team that we had to catch. I remember, Pat Bashal, and the first time we fought back, right, they're literally a brawl. And those games and those moments, Jose Moller's out there throwing it in the end zone trying to get a win. Carson Wentz really struggled down there. We struggled from a play caller standpoint. screen game, even the gap screen didn't work. I mean, it was rough, right? Tough place to play when you go down there, and I think they're going to be super competitive here in the future. I really do. They're in a good location, and I think they've hired a bunch of professionals that'll do a good job. All right.
Speaking of Wentz struggling down in Northern Iowa, every great quarterback in NDSU has had one of those games along the line. Easton struggled badly down at South Dakota State. Cam had a couple games that had people question what he was going to become. And so Cole, I mean, do you have to look at it that way? And does Cole have to look at it that way after having a kind of a rough Saturday that everybody's gone through it? I mean, nobody's 100%.
Right. Well, Cole's an interesting guy to get to know, but if you know him, he's just so competitive, and he wants to please everybody, and he wants to do well, and his standard for himself is unbelievable. I just described all those other quarterbacks as well, and so their ability to respond and jump back on that horse and let it rip, right? I mean, part of the issue on Saturday even was just if he would have just trusted it and trusted his repetitions and let the ball fly, he would have pulled himself right out of it. And so I anticipate Cole playing really well on Saturday. I anticipate the offensive staff, trusting him to do that. But it's been interesting. All those guys, I mean, including – I think about Carson Wentz's situation. We got beat by South Dakota here in 15, right? Okay, or the 14 season. But he hurts his wrist, and he had to sit on that for 8 weeks and then come back and get ready. That was a 1-for-7 performance on third down. And I didn't have to look that up. I just remember it. And Easton's, I don't remember that one. Cam, I wasn't here for one of his either, but yes, they've all been through it. And so, getting back to the basics, right? Process-oriented, rules and principles, anticipation, reaction, and response. Let's get ready to rock and roll, and we'll do better. We'll do better moving forward.
And then conversely, I don't think their quarterback was very comfortable either.
Yeah.
Jerry, was it defensive? Just look at your defensive line in that game, and I think they were pretty good too.
Yeah, well, I think our defensive line, on a couple simple things, right? They thought they had RPOs and things, and we were in the backfield. Holy smokes, where do you go with it? Those were a couple of our sacks. But then on top of that, we were kept getting in their face. Every throw was contested for the most part, even the shallow crossers. And so I think we had and Jerry and Cole are different because Cole's been in the program a little longer, but they're first-time starters in that kind of moment. I don't think we give enough thought to how hard that position is to play. I mean, the amount of stuff that they have to handle, be able to execute and go do it, and that's where it's so important to get off to a good start, right? Feeling good about things and getting some completions. But I thought our defense did a really good job of keeping Jerry off balance. I know. We flipped the script too a little bit on some self-scout stuff and didn't just give them a bunch of too high, and we challenged those guys. So a lot of credit's got to go to the rush and our performance man-to-man.
Tim, you've played all the contenders in the league, playoff contenders in the league. In your opinion, how many playoff teams can make it out of the Missouri Valley?
Well, I think there's 7 teams that could win a game. I don't know if we'll get that many. It is that time of year where you can take a peek and have a conversation or two with some people. I think when we look back on this, we're going to say, great job in winning the conference championship. I mean, Youngstown's playing unbelievable football right now. Illinois State's hot. I mean, they're playing good, and they've always been a good defensive team, and they've kept that quarterback upright. And I have a friend on that staff, so I've been able to communicate. They feel pretty good about where they're at. South Dakota, my hat goes off to those guys. I mean, they could have really turned it in. And they've been going at football for 12 weeks here, and that running back's having a heck of a year. Part of the reason I have an answer is that you start to look at the all-conference stuff and things like that. I think our league is really competitive, and you got to be able to do it week in and week out. That's the key. It's not a matter of how good the top 4 are. You have to bounce back and play people back-to-back weeks, and we got some really cool matchups in our conference. We're focused on Northern Iowa.